Good evening, and welcome to Law Talk. I'm your host, Jennifer Hicks. In this segment, we'll be discussing DNA testing and the Golden Gate Killer. Now, before DNA testing was introduced, criminal identification was solely based off of fingerprints, shoe prints, blood, and other evidence that the suspect may have left behind at a crime scene. We'll discover the significance of DNA testing and how it has affected solving crimes. In 1985, a professor at the University of Leicester, Alec Jeffreys, was able to confirm the uniqueness of personalized DNA material in each person's skin, body, fluids, blood, nails, and hair. Other than identical twins, there are no two people who have the same DNA pattern. DNA testing has been used in several areas. First, it's been used to determine family relations to establish their ancestry. It's helped settle cases regarding immigration disputes, which involve proving family relationships. Another use of DNA testing is in genetic testing. These tests help to identify genetic disorders in a person or genetic disease in an unborn child, or to find out if a person is carrying a gene for a disease and it will be passed on to their child. It can also be used to test for genetic diseases in adults prior to symptoms appearing, or confirm a diagnosis in a person who's already showing symptoms of a disease. The use of DNA testing is significant because it's been used in forensics to identify suspects and victims. DNA testing has been useful in quite a number of cases, including murder, rape, and kidnapping. For some who have been wrongly convicted prior to DNA testing, it's helped exonerate them. Prior to DNA testing, the use of evidence in solving crimes would provide only a potential pool of possible suspects. DNA testing narrows that down to one suspect, which in turn has helped establish strong evidence in criminal cases. Take, for example, the case of the Golden Gate Killer, a man who detectives say terrorized California by committing 12 murders, at least 50 rapes, and over 100 home burglaries in the 1970s and 80s. Many times he would stalk his victims and call them after he attacked them to tell them that he would come back and kill them or rape them again. For decades, law enforcement spent countless hours searching and trying to solve these heinous crimes. Nicknamed the East Area Rapist, Original Night Stalker, and the Golden State Killer, his crimes were spread over 10 counties, terrorizing residents of California. It wasn't until 2001, through DNA testing, that the detectives discovered the East Area Rapist and the Original Night Stalker were the same person. They then obtained DNA evidence from a crime scene, the 1980 double murder of Lyman and Charlene Smith, who were bludgeoned to death in their Ventura County, California home. Detectives also began reviewing rape kits that had spanned the 10 counties. On June 15, 2016, the FBI and local law enforcement agencies held a news conference announcing a renewed nationwide effort, offering a $50,000 reward for his capture of the killer. What cracked this case wide open and helped catch the Golden Gate Killer? DNA from the crime scene and DNA from a genealogy website. Family members of the Golden Gate Killer wanted to trace their genealogy, so they submitted DNA to an ancestry site. Detectives used that database to input the suspect's DNA and got a hit. By building a family tree, detectives traced it to Joseph DeAngelo, a U.S. Navy veteran and former police officer from Auburn, California. After further investigation of DeAngelo, on April 24, 2018, detectives charged 72-year-old DeAngelo with first-degree murder, all due to DNA testing. Using results from DNA testing is critical in apprehending not just a suspect, but the right suspect, and releasing those who are innocent. Criminal law was meant to punish those who are guilty of crimes, and DNA testing will ensure law will apply to those who are found guilty through testing. On a side note, with the introduction of genealogy ancestry websites, these websites are offering a new way to apprehend suspects. And since the information is voluntary, the police merely need a warrant to obtain DNA results. I predict that this might lead to a mandatory DNA testing for the purposes of apprehending suspects much quicker and solving cold cases. Seems they've already started it in Arizona. This concludes our segment of DNA testing and the Golden Gate Killer. I'm your host, Jennifer Hicks. Join us next time for another episode of Law Talk. Have a good night.